Welcome back to the Modest Mushroom. Quick disclaimer before we actually start this video, I am not a vet or an animal nutritionist or anything like that. So don't just take advice from people on the internet about this kind of stuff. If you're interested in making your dog's dog food from home like I do, talk to your vet about it first and then you can decide what's best for your dog. I'm just sharing what works for my dog and our family. But I'm going to be showing you guys today how I make our dog's homemade dog food from scratch. And it's not super complicated or anything like that. You can switch up whatever kind of veggies you feel like your dog should be getting in this, and you can kind of personalize it and make it your own. But yeah, as I said, just make sure you talk to your pet's vet first, and then you can go ahead and get started with this. So here's all of the ingredients I'm going to be using to make the dog food today. We have some chicken, some white rice, you can use white or brown rice, whatever kind that you have. And then I'm also going to be adding peas, carrots, green beans, and then pumpkin puree. If you do choose to use pumpkin, just make sure you get the one that's not like pumpkin pie filling. This is just straight up pumpkin puree. It doesn't have any added sugar or anything like that. And a tip for the vegetables, if you're going to use canned ones like I do, make sure to get the ones with no salt added so that you can keep the sodium content down. But to get started here, I'm just going to get started by cooking the chicken. I'm going to be cooking this whole batch of chicken, but I'm only going to be using half of it for this batch of dog food. And then the other half of it I will set aside and freeze for the next batch. So this is what the chicken looks like when it's done cooking. I'm going to go ahead and start getting it separated between the batch that I'm going to freeze and the other half that I'm going to be keeping in the food. I'm going to be taking all of it out because I'm going to shred the stuff we're using in this batch in my KitchenAid mixer. And then you don't have to use one of those. If you don't have one, you can just use a hand mixer, or you can use 2 forks to shred it. That works just as well. This way is just easier, so this is how I do it. And I know the water looks super gross, but it's just because when you cook the chicken in the water like that, the fat gets all in the water. It's, it looks nasty, but I swear she loves it. So once we get that all out and shredded, we can start adding in the rest of our ingredients. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the shredded chicken back into the water, and then we can start adding in our vegetables and stuff. So I'm going to be adding the peas, the carrots, the green beans, and the pumpkin puree. You can actually also switch out the pumpkin for sweet potatoes. Just make sure that they have long enough to kind of get like mushy, and then you can kind of mush them up in there. They just need some sort of binder in here because it really does make a difference. So I just always use pumpkin because it's easier and it really works for our dog. And I don't really have like actual measurements as far as how much rice and water I put in here. I've made it so many times now that I just kind of do it off of eyeballing it. I know how much is supposed to go in there, but I think in terms of the water, I'm probably putting about 5 to 6 cups of water in there, sometimes a little more, sometimes less. And then I would say probably about 4 to 5 cups of rice, if I had to guess. I don't think it's any more than that because you don't want it to be too much rice in there. And then once you get all of those ingredients in there, you can actually also add lentils to this as well. I just don't always have those on hand, so sometimes they get in there, sometimes they don't. And once we have all of the ingredients in there, we're gonna cook it for about an hour to an hour and a half and stir it every once in a while to make sure it doesn't get stuck to the bottom. And then by that time, it should be about done. Just make sure that all of the rice is cooked all the way through. That's usually how you can tell it's done. And then after that, we are pretty much all set. So here I'm just giving it a quick stir right before it's finished cooking to see how the rice was looking. It wasn't quite done yet, and I actually ended up adding a little bit more water into it after I turned the camera off because I didn't want it getting like too dried out. Lily seems to tend to like it a lot more when it's a little bit more mushy and like kind of like wetter food, so I did add a little bit more water to this, and then in the next clip you'll see how it should look when it's done. And once it's cooled off a little bit, here's the final picture of it. This is the done picture. So we're finally done cooking it here, and you can see it, all of the rice is actually cooked now in this clip. And I'm gonna get it sorted into like this. I have a big container that I use for her dog food, and then any extras I have, I usually will put in like those gallon Ziploc bags, and you can either freeze it, or if you have a big dog like I do, you can just keep it in the fridge. And she goes through this, like one of these batches of food within like, I think it lasts like 3 to 4 days. So yeah, that is the end of that. And the reason I actually wanted to make this video today was because Lily recently had a vet appointment, and it was with a new vet who we don't usually see. And my husband said he was checking her out and stuff, and he looked her over and everything, and he was like, so what are you guys feeding her? He told her exactly how I make her food, what we put in it and everything, and he was like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because she looks fantastic. Here, I make her sit before I give her dinner, and then she waits so patiently for me to say okay. She's such a good girl. And this is what it looks like all packaged up and done. It has to sit out for quite a while to cool all the way down before I can put it in the fridge, but now we're all done, and she just gets the little spoon of leftovers because she's such a good girl. And that is how I make Lily's dog food. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Don't forget to check out my channel for more videos like this, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.